next you want to get to the so-called peaceful phase of
Yeah,
Islam.
yeah. So this is also an important point. I think it's one that is a little bit under discussed, and it's a potential point where Christians who are engaging Muslims may struggle to address properly, but the material is actually out there. And so there's a great clip of a lecture that Hamza Yusuf has done, and he's basically kind of blown the lid off of this. But it's in the books, anyways, for those who read. There's this notion of the Meccan phase. And what the Meccan phase is, it's a way how you can counter the Islamic apologetics that Islam is a quote unquote peaceful religion. Okay, because Muslims will say, no, we're against the terrorism, we're against all these violent acts, we don't believe in jihad, or at least we don't believe in offensive jihad. We just really want to live side by side with you in peace, because that's what Islam preaches. In reality, the Meccan phase is never done away with. Okay, it may just not be in effect because of the circumstances, but it in itself is never done away with. And this is referring to the early ministry of Muhammad when he was still in Mecca, and basically is saying that when Muslims are weak and in the minority, then Islam is peaceful. Okay, that's the Meccan phase. But when they get traction, when they can implement Sharia, when they can impose Islam on you, the Meccan phase is now not in effect. We're now in a different phase. Okay. And this is where Islam wants to go with the West. And so what you see here in Western countries where that rhetoric of Islam being peaceful is most readily apparent, it's because they're in the Meccan phase. The more that you start expanding Islam and it starts growing and it wants to be basically forcefully imposed, or it can be forcefully imposed, you will start seeing this kind of being implemented within the societies because Islam mandates it. Okay, Muslims, if they're going to be Muslims, when you read the fiqh books, they don't have an option not to implement Islam. If they are within the majority or they're powerful enough that they can establish Islamic law, then they are Islamically bound to impose Islamic law.
So it's a kind of a psyop, right? Until the time's right, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's a psyop until the time's right, because if Muslims are in a position where they can indeed establish Islamic law, they have the Islamic obligation to do so.
Right.
There's no choice. You have to.